Okay, something is very, very wrong here. We've got ourselves a 2006 Jeep. It's the Grand Cherokee with the 4.7 liter V8. That's the big motor. Naturally, she's four-wheel drive. The customer states that they had recently purchased this vehicle. It's got a check engine light on. There's some starting issues going on with it. Occasionally they'll hit the key and go to crank it, and it'll just kind of click a couple times and doesn't want to start. They said some business about a transmission trouble code. There is water coming into the interior, probably from the sunroof. I think we can see right here, I found a like a water line where the leak is happening. And if we look down here on the floor, you can see a little bit of water pooling up down there. You guys see that? A little bit of moisture action going on. The customer also states that there is some grease being flung around somewhere on the right front. They hear like a clicking and banging noise while driving from the front and the rear. And I think there's a couple other little knick-knacky items on my list here as well. Yeah, suspension noise in the front, knocking over bumps, check engine light. They replaced the Bank 1 upstream O2 sensor. The ignition does not start all the time. Check for a leak in the condenser. Water leak on the sunroof side. Transmission service, spark plugs, axle boot torn. That's our grease being flung around. And a warning light dash front differential. So I've kind of been poking around at this thing all morning, and I'm trying to come up with a path and a direction here for us to follow real quick. You can see I've already got the scan tool out. Let me back out of this. I'm in the TCM right now. There's a plethora of codes here. I want to get into the engine. I went on a test drive on this truck earlier, about 4 or 5 miles. And basically what I had done is, due to the sheer amount of trouble codes that I had found inside of this vehicle, I went ahead and documented them, cleared them, and then drove it. So now we're going to see which ones came back. Like I said, the ignition cylinder is also kind of stuck. I mean, it does not like to turn very easily. I'm gonna recommend replacing this cylinder with a rekey on the cylinder. So basically I can build a new cylinder that will match the current key. That way we don't have to have multiple keys. But there is an issue going on with this lock cylinder here. Now, I do not believe that's the starting issue, because I had tried to crank it a couple times and we just heard a series of clicks from under the hood there at the starter. I believe the starter's just dragging and it needs to be replaced. I'd like for it to do it on camera so my guy can see it. Yeah, we'll try again later with that starter business. Anyway, let's go inside of some of these modules here and see which codes have come back up after a code clear and a test drive. So we're gonna pull up ECM codes. So we've got, oh man, that's a new one right there. P1603, PCM internal dual port RAM communication failure. We've got a U code, that's communication code U1417, implausible left wheel distance signal received. Left wheel distance signal, okay, that's not wheel speed. And the dreaded P700 transmission control system malfunction indicator requested. That's not good. We don't like the P700. The P700 says the TCM is asking the ECM to turn on the check engine light to notify the driver that the transmission is unhappy. So let's go ahead and back out of the ECM code list here, and we're going to go into the transmission control module and see what that thing has to say about it. Now keep in mind there's like 2 sets of codes here. There's the code from when I had first got a hold of the car, then we did the code scan and the clear, and then there was a test drive, and this is now the second set of DTCs that has come up with just a couple miles of driving. So we've got a P0869, line pressure high, that's a stored code. The rest of these appear to be pending. So they've met one set of the criteria to start these codes, but it has not yet been confirmed. We've got a P0846, that's a 2-4 pressure switch rationality. TCM's not happy about the pressure signals from the 2-4 clutch pack. The P0871, overdrive pressure switch rationality. So again, TCM is unhappy with the overdrive switch. The P0988, 4C pressure switch rationality. So this is all internal stuff here. P0876, underdrive pressure switch rationality. P0882, TCM power input low, and that's pending. So it's saying, hey, I did not get enough power. So we may have an issue just with our TCM power supply, or there could be an internal problem. That's sort of all I have found so far. Now, when we had this vehicle, or before I did the code clear, we also had a P2096 stating that the upstream O2 sensor was in the lean side. It was running lean. It also accompanied with a P300, that's random multiple cylinder misfires. So we don't know if it's running lean on bank 1 and that's causing misfires, or if it's misfiring and that's causing the ECM to go, hey, I'm lean or I'm rich, or I'm not sure which one of those codes at this time is going to take priority. We've got some inspecting to do to make a determination on that. Alrighty, so right off the, well, from the get-go rather, I can see some red stuff in here. Now these red parts, these are definitely aftermarket. It looks like this thing has got some kind of a spacer lift on it, which is kind of discouraging considering we were seeking out a front-end noise. I'm hoping we don't have a lift kit problem. One thing I can tell you right now is that these bushings here appear to have never seen a grease gun. Yeah, look at that. Those are spotless clean, there's no dirt on them, or no grease rather. These bushings may have never been greased. And that one looks kind of similar. There's a grease fitting. Okay. Ah, here we go. There's a broken something what or another. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4 wires running into that. I believe this is a tire pressure monitoring system receiver right here. Yeah, that's been broken for a hot minute. Look at that, all that corrosion on those pins in there. There is a module of some sort inside of here, but that's smashed solid, or smashed into pieces. It's no longer solid, it's smashed into multiple pieces. So that may be explaining our TPMS warning indicator that was on in the dash. Okay. Wow, it's been like 6 seconds. I already found a bunch of stuff wrong. Let's try to find the clunking noise from the front end. Mr. Dave, can I borrow you for a moment? Well, here's that leak we talked about. That right there is a torn into pieces axle boot. And the reason that that boot appears to be leaking is it is running into this lower control arm here. You see that? That is a side effect from the lift kit being on this vehicle. We're also got some grease flinging action on this inner boot as well. Let's check the other side. That one looks good. Yeah, you can see right here, look at that. See how the boot is touching the control arm? That's definitely a cause for concern. That ball joint is not looking healthy. The dust boot is gone and we can see a whole bunch of dirt has migrated into that ball and socket joint. Okay. Dave, you still here? Yeah. Oh, can you give these wheels a shakedown? I'm trying to find something that causes that noise. I'm gonna go, you know, we got some play in that ball joint. Go up and down if you can. Okay, yeah, he's shaking the wheel up and down, and then before it was going left and right. So the tie rod looks good. Look at that. All right, let's check the other side. Look at there. The steering knuckle is hitting the strut assembly due to the geometry of the suspension due to the lift. I mean, I realize those are lifted control arms and they're supposed to offset this slightly, but that's not right. So we have pieces interfering with each other. That ball joint's been replaced. See the blue? Give me a shake. Yeah, not too bad here. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Look at that. See all that rust right here? That means that this piece is loose. That little stud for the sway bar link is loose, probably because this bushing is collapsing. See that right there? Got a failed bushing. Let's grab a wrench real quick and see if I can't turn that. See if it's actually loose or not. A little bit of wrench action here. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, that bushing and that joint in there is toast. This one's static, so it's fine. Let's check this other side here. Yeah, that one's kind of turning, but it's not as bad as the other side. So that is potential cause for the clicking noise. It's either binding full time on the steering knuckle, or we're just hearing this right here flop around. We might be hearing this ball joint right here flopping around. I'm certain it's got to be making some noise, and I know it's a little loose. So we have identified a couple minor problems here, nothing that crazy. Let's give this thing kind of a good walk around real quick, see if there's anything else staring at us in the face before we start focusing on things that need to actually be diagnosed. This is a tied together ground cable. Well, hang on. So we're grounded here, but the ground cable's broken and it's tied up with a knot. Okay. That's a heat shield flopping around on top of the muffler. That's not good. I'm really curious to learn where these ground cables go, because it looks like there's two. I don't think they grounded this part of the body to this part of the cross member. That seems kind of dumb because the whole thing's grounded. So maybe these were supposed to go over to the transmission case or to the transfer case, something like that. I'm really not certain where those two cables go. I know they do something because Chrysler put them there when they built this thing. Let's see. There, that's our brand new O2 sensor wire, or brand new O2 sensor that they had mentioned. That's the upstream before the catalytic converter on the driver's side, so that's bank one. Ooh, here we go. See that speed sensor out of the transmission? Can you guys see where the wire is rubbing on the case? Look right up there. I wonder if that rubbed through. Can't really tell from here. It looks like it's rubbing through, like right there. So we may have this speed sensor wire grounding out on the case. More wiring harness way up there past that O2 sensor wire. See that? All those wires are exposed. The convolute wire loom has disintegrated. Let's see the other side. Maybe there is gravity. Man, I got flashlight gravity on a flashlight that I wasn't even using. How about that? Here, let's take a look through the wheel wells. Seriously. Let's look through the wheel wells. See if we cannot find any more wiring concerns. I'm suspecting there could be a wiring issue because we have a whole pile of those trouble codes. So we've either got a wiring issue or a module failure. Yeah, look back here. See behind that, point to it. Way back there, there's a bunch more wires. See how those are just sitting on top of that bell housing? I have concern that sections of that wiring harness have been rubbing and have rubbed through and are causing an intermittent short to ground on top of that transmission. That's a high probability given the symptoms and circumstances of this shifting problem, or of the trouble codes rather. Let's see. Let's go around back here, see what else we can see. Spare tire's gone. A bunch more wiring issues here. It's a trailer wire harness. Looking around up here, that's all fine and dandy. The shock absorber's been leaking for a while. See the trail? A little tapering trail of oil or whatever. Okay. This one, it's still actively leaking. Look, oil right there. And again, we got this big old trail of dirt that is collected in the oil that's been leaking out of that. So we need some rear shock absorbers. Okay, moving forward. A bunch of caked in mud. There's a blown out bushing on this rear upper control arm. It's a solid rear axle, but it's got 4 control arms. It's got an upper here and a lower right here. And on this side, we got another lower, and then the other upper is right there above the gas tank. See it right there sticking out? So we got one blown out bushing on the right rear upper. See this upper back here? Yeah, similar. I can see that bushing sticking out on the right hand side. So we got 2 blown out bushings. The lowers, can't really tell. I think these are okay. that one looks good. Okay. Transfer case looks okay. There's nothing really leaking out of this thing. Let me raise this up a little bit more. Over here crawling around. Oh, I remember why I have this flashlight out. They also asked to check the AC condenser for a leak. So I guess we can do that real quick while we're here. I turned on the black light feature, and if there's a leak in the condenser, it should show up as like a bright green due to the presence of the UV dye. Not really seeing, nah, nothing in there really that's looking like a leak. Yeah, no green dye in it. Okay. Like I said, there's a billion things on this list of things to look at. I'm trying to just get through all of them, and then I'm trying to do that visually. Moving back up. All the way up. There we go. Is there anything else sticking out at us, guys? What else do we see here? We had some over temp codes in the transmission. Make sure we've got a trans cooler on this unit, and I believe it's that smaller radiator right there. That's our transmission cooler. Or maybe those are the lines there. That could be power steering. Fan clutch is smoked. That should not be free spinning like it is. That's not okay. How's this belt doing? Look at that. The belt is about to come in half. See that right there? Look at that. In between each one of the ribs, it's starting to separate. You can even see it from the back side here. So it probably needs a belt. We need to do that. But we still haven't found any problems yet. So we found a bunch of stuff that are kind of wrong, but we don't have a smoking gun yet for all those DTCs. So here's what I'm thinking. I think that the majority of the problem is probably electrical. I think that the wires on top of this transmission have rubbed through and are intermittently grounding out. I think we need to do a lot of suspension work on it. I think we need to find a low profile set of front axles, because if we were to install regular axles on this, it may end up just doing the same thing again. Then I'm gonna have to warranty axles all the time. That would not be okay. So yeah, I think we need to find some low profile articulating lifted axles specifically made for this application with this lift kit. It probably needs some spindles as well. I don't really particularly care for that at all. That shouldn't be like that whatsoever. Let's let it down on the ground and on its own weight, and we're gonna see if this clearance still exists, because we were looking for a noise. So lock release with the golf ball. Jeep of Jeeps coming down, and contact. All right, we're back on the ground. The lift is now free of the Jeep. Let me stick my noggin in here real quick and see what we look like with clearances. That's not that great. About 3/4 of an inch right there. I can't even fit my finger between that. So that's a parts compatibility issue. Let's check the other side. I wonder if this is like a cheapo lift kit. Ultra Chinesium. Oh yeah, look at that. Look right there. See all those wires sitting on top of the transmission? That cannot be good. Yeah, no way. Anyway, focus ray. About another 1/2 inch or so of clearance between the spindle and that spring right there. So that's again due to the lift kit. That's a problem with the lift compatibility. Let's find a pokey thing and try to manipulate that wiring harness back there to see if there's any wires that have rubbed through. I think, here we go, found one. I found a pokey thing. Let's go back in. Let's get some light on the subject in there and let's see what we can see. I really can't tell, guys. I can't manipulate this enough to really get a good view. Yeah, I can't see under that harness. Yeah, that's a gamble. It might, some of those wires might be rubbed through and they might not be. Flashlight. I think that I probably am going to have to either remove the transmission or remove this intake manifold in order to gain some access to all those wires sitting on top of the transmission back there. I think we have a wiring harness problem. Very interesting. Here's another ground wire that's really not doing too hot. Yeah, look at that. That's an engine ground that I just broke. That's a problem. More wires with no convolute. See how it just kind of turns into powder when you touch it? It's due to age. Yeah, look at that. Just pieces of plastic just falling off of it. And if that is happening on top of the transmission, we can bet that those wires are probably damaged. Yeah, I don't think I have any more ground wires going to the engine. That might have just been the only one. Oops. Let's go inside and restart it. See if we get any new trouble codes since I broke that ground cable. Yeah, that's all corrosion induced is what that stuff is. Let's see what we get here. Okay, it starts, runs, perform service, service 4-wheel drive. Huh, check engine light's not on. That's weird. Perform service again. Let's back out and go into ECM. Yeah. I swear that check engine light was just on. Can't believe it turned off again. We're gonna go to codes menu. Now keep in mind, in the ECM we had a P300 20, I think it was a 2096, and now we've got closed fuel loop not achieved. That's 1128, and again the TCM is requesting the mill, but the mill's not on. That's kind of odd. Did I just break the indicator lamp? Nope, it still works. Wonder why it's not actively on. Okay. Now it said it didn't want to go into closed loop, so I've just pulled up the engine data, and we're going to go through some of this data real quick and see why we will not go into closed loop fuel control, and maybe we can see why we're misfiring. We'll check out fuel trims and we'll look at some of these other PIDs to see how everything's looking. So I'm basically looking for anything that's standing out that's obviously out of spec, you know, coolant temp that says -40 or something, excessive pressures, we don't have much of that. This is interesting, mass airflow grams per second. It's calculating 10 grams per second. This being a Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Fiat product, it is not running an actual mass airflow sensor. This is what's called a speed density engine. It uses things like throttle position, manifold absolute pressure, barometric pressure, and a couple of other PIDs in order to calculate the airflow coming in. So that's not actually direct measurement. Let's see here. Scrolling down, let's check on our O2 sensors. We've got voltage on sensor 1, bank 2 sensor 1 has, that one's running voltage as well. Let's graph them real quick. We'll run a 4 graph on the O2s and see what they look like. Those are kind of looking the same. Yeah, it's not staring at me in the face. So it appears to be functioning as designed at this current point in time. Let's check fuel trims real quick and confirm that. Check the pulse, blah, blah, blah. Here we go, fuel trim, short term, bank 1 and bank 2. -5, -3, -2, that's kind of fine. It's gonna shoot positive if I give it throttle. Watch this, we give it some throttle. And we just hit positive on, oh no. There, yeah. They're bouncing back and forth like they should, but what's more important is what the long terms are doing. Long term trims, bank 2 and bank 1, those are hovering around 0, -1.2, -1. So the engine's fuel management system is operating like it should be right now. So what I think we have primarily is a transmission problem, and I think that that is stemming from an electrical problem. That's what my gut's telling me on this. I'd like to either pull out that intake manifold or pull the transmission out and get a better inspection angle on those wires and see if there's any damage. Let's pull up transmission codes real fast. Yeah, TCM power input low, that's still a pending code. High pressure, rationalities. Now, when I drove this thing, it seemed to have shifted just fine, but it's throwing me all these trouble codes. Let's see, functional test. Do I want to go in there? No, let's check out data. Let's just give the TCM a quick look-see on data. No, we're in self-test mode. Back up, cut. So we're going through the transmission's data, and I've got, remember that code we had for line pressure too high? Look at here, actual line pressure, 142.97 PSI. Desired line pressure, 119.97. I'm not sure how relevant that is, but desired and actual should be very close to each other, and it was telling me our line pressure was excessively high. Transmission temp cold, that is false. Transmission temp warm, that is false. Transmission temp hot, that is true. It's saying our trans is overheated. Let's try to find a PID for transmission temperature. I don't know if there is one. There we go. Yeah, we got voltage. Trans temp voltage, 3.53 volts. But I'm not getting an actual PID for degrees in temperature, so I'd have to look that up in the spec list. I don't think the trans is running too hot because I only drove this a couple miles. I believe that's false data. I think got to stick with the plan. I need to make sure all those wires on top of the transmission are in good shape first before we do anything. I fear trying to fix a misfire or fix an O2 sensor code issue, because the same harness that's running into the transmission controller is also the same harness that houses the upstream and downstream O2 sensors. So if we have rub through wires down there, that's definitely an issue. These missing grounds that we have, also definitely an issue. So I need to fix that body ground up front at the engine. We need to figure out what to do with those ground cables down at the bottom below the passenger seat on the frame. And the rest of this stuff is kind of inconsequential unless we can get these transmission codes fixed up. And we need a new lock cylinder. I think we have a massive electrical problem on this, or probably multiple electrical problems. I know these Jeeps and Chryslers like to mess up when the ASD, that's the auto shutdown relay, fails. Let's get into the fuse block here and see if we have an ASD. A faulty auto shutdown relay has caused many concerns when it comes to the Jeep. There we go, ASD right there. Comes to the Jeep products. So, tell you what I'll do. Since that one's AC and this one's ASD, let's just give them the old swap-a-roo. And we'll throw that relay on the floor. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what did I do with it? It's gone. It's so gone. No! Ah, this is the non-fun part. Haha, there it is. I knew it was there somewhere, it didn't hit the ground. So yeah, what we're doing, I call that the relay swapping game. We're taking a non-critical relay and swapping it out with a critical relay to see if that has any effect on the functionality. And just to confirm, we have the same part number here, 583 583. See that? So basically we switch the blower motor and the auto shutdown relay, swap those things around just to utilize process of elimination. I have fixed many a Chrysler with a relay. And they work and they run too some of the time, but you get these quirky little codes that pop up. Perform service. So, we've instituted a couple changes here. I've been in there poking around with my pick, and we've also swapped a relay. So we've basically introduced a little bit of a couple variables here. Dave's letting us down. I'm gonna clear all these trouble codes out of the modules. We're gonna pull it out, shut it down, restart it, and then go out and drive it one more time to see which codes are gonna pop back up next. And again, I have the original series of codes already documented, so I'm not relying on them for a proper diagnosis because I know that they were there. ABS is mad at me for being in there. Low spare tire pressure. I did not even realize this vehicle had a TPMS sensor in the spare. This is one of those cars where, like, you know, you have that broken receiver in the right front wheel well. This is the type of thing where you fix that receiver but the light doesn't go out because then there's another problem in the same system. It's one of those situations where it's almost like there have been so many things that have been wrong with it over time that you have to go through and just start tracking things down to fix. And that's really discouraging on my end because you get no gratification after fixing something. Again, like that little TPMS module, I fix that and then find out that the light's still on and it still has codes, even though that's clearly a damaged component and needs to be replaced. That may not be the entirety of the problem. And I think this vehicle is one of those situations. Anyway, all the codes have been cleared out successfully. So we're going to initiate another code scan, and that's again going to ping all of the modules that this scanner will communicate with. It's going to pull codes from all of those particular modules. Look at here, TCM nothing. ABS has a left front wheel speed sensor circuit fault. We still have our service 4-wheel drive message and a perform service spare tire message. Okay. Yeah, this is interesting to me though, that after manipulating those wires, we have no trouble codes. I wonder what it's gonna do when I move the vehicle. Okay, so the code scan has been completed. It's no longer pinging modules. And back up the list, ECM codes 0, TCM codes 0, ABS codes, it has 1 stating that's a C100 alpha left front wheel speed sensor circuit. So we might just have a torn up wheel speed sensor. The driver door module, which should just be the master switch over here, that's saying that the driver door heated mirror control circuit has an open. So that's fairly inconsequential, that's just heated mirrors. Final drive control module, FDCM, implausible data received from the ABS module. So the ABS module is sending incorrect data to the final drive control module. Now the ABS is also saying that it does not recognize the left front wheel speed sensor. So since we're on the ground and we're gonna go drive this again, let's see if we can recognize a lack of ABS wheel speed signal from that left front. So we're in the ABS module. Dash is dashing at me, telling me he doesn't like what I'm doing. We're gonna pull up data, and we should be able to look at the wheel speed individually on all 4 wheels. And it appears, yep, left front, left rear, right rear, and steering angle. Let's see if steering angle is working here. Yep, negative 130 degrees. Turn it back that way. 188 degrees. Yeah. So that is operating as designed. This is good. I'm just trying to find things that are incorrect, or I'm trying to find things that I can verify as being accurate. I bet you we have an open circuit on that left front wheel speed. So go ahead and back her out here. What we're gonna do, back up, and we're gonna watch these 4 numbers over here. Let me move the highlighted part. So all 4 of the zeros above the highlighted line, those are our individual wheel speed sensors. Let's roll this thing back. Honks for safety. Oh, hello, Jeep Duck. Yeah, honks for safety. You guys keep an eye on those wheel speed numbers. Tell me if anybody changes. Oh, I heard some clicking from the front end. That was the left front, not the right, where we found that loose sway bar link or whatever. might have been the ball joint doing it. All right, so what I'm not seeing is wheel speed out of the left rear or the left front. Back into drive here. Let's pull her forward some. Look at that, yep. I've only got 2 wheel speed sensors that are active. The left front, I'm sorry, the right front and the right rear. Left rear is doing nothing, and the left front is doing nothing. So that gives us a little bit of direction. Let's go out and take this thing for a quick spin, and then we'll come back and code scan it again to see if we're getting any other DTCs anywhere. I hear those tires howling like a banshee. They were rather aggressive off-road looking tires. Riding along here. Yeah, we still have no wheel speed readings on either of the left sides, left front or left rear. So yeah, no wonder ABS is upset. And final drive module is upset. That might even be upsetting the TCM if the programming logic is relying on accurate wheel speed measurements for ship points. But I guess we'll see. I'm rolling into the throttle pretty heavy. About 3/4 throttle. I don't feel misfires under load, and when we were in the shop I didn't feel any idle either. So I'm thinking we don't have an engine misfire problem. I think we have a air-fuel ratio monitoring problem, which is again circling me back to that damaged wiring harness. That's what I think our issue is. And on top of that, we do not have a check engine light yet. And although I did not record it, my first test drive gave me a check engine light with trouble codes before I was out of the parking lot. So I think perhaps that by moving that wiring harness around, I got the short away from the case ground, and everything is now making correct connection. I'm initiating another code scan here. I just caught the yellow red light. Probably could have made it. Yeah, that's a Florida yellow all day. See how nobody's driving? But I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead and ping all these other modules one more time while we're sitting here at this light, and we're gonna see if we get any DTCs in the ECM or the TCM. We should be getting our green light, and I do believe, there it is. And I do believe the code scan has completed, so let's maneuver ourselves back to the shop and we can review our newly collected data real quick. I find it very interesting that I do not have that check engine light yet, and everything is working just like it should be, with the exception of that wheel speeds and ABS nonsense. But we've caught another red, so our ECM, it's only getting a code talking about the left front wheel speed sensor implausible. ABS module down here, that's given us 2 codes talking about left front wheel speed and left rear wheel speed, so we're not picking up either of those. Scrolling down, we've got that driver door module code and that final drive control module code. Again, it's referencing the ABS module issue. So I think we have a wiring problem. That's where I'm at. I believe that I need to pull the intake manifold off this engine, go back in there, take a closer look at those wires that are rubbed through, make any necessary repairs, re-protect the harness by installing new convolute wire loom, and then recheck everything after that. With regards to the starting system issue, I can't believe I just sat through an entire green light trying to make a left. I'm gonna have to, I wanna replace the ignition lock cylinder right here, because I know that lock cylinder is binding up and it's nasty. I also would like to replace the actual starter motor itself, because I hear the solenoid clicking, yet I can hear that, that starter binding up. So I wanna put a starter in it, ignition lock cylinder, I wanna pull the intake manifold off of it, replace spark plugs while I'm in there if need be, repair the wires above the transmission, repair the broken ground straps, and I think at that point it would be the appropriate move to focus on some of the mechanical issues like fluid exchanges and ball joints and sway bar links and bushings and water leaks and things of that nature. Speaking of water leaks, I think it probably just needs a seal around this, but that's like last on the list. There are more pressing matters to attend to. Real quick review one more time. Yep, no trouble codes, and I believe that disturbing all of those wires with that little pick that I had in there was enough to stop the bad electrical connection. That's what I think is going on here. Let's restart this. Yeah, no check engine light. Service four-wheel drive system. I don't know if that service four-wheel drive warning is due to this final drive control module being upset, or if this has something to do with the ABS module and wheel speed sensors. But regardless, I think we have a path of repair laid out before us. I've got a plan. This is what I would do if it were mine, and that's how I would like to proceed. So if anybody in the audience here has any insight, questions, or commentary, please feel free to log those in the comment section down below. Do not forget to tap that like and subscribe button while you're down there. Having said all that, I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out. I do believe I have nothing more to offer you on this particular repair slash vehicle at this point in time. Like I said, I got to bounce this off my customer, and I'm going to give this video directly to the owner of this Jeep. That way they have all the information that I have, and I've communicated it as effectively as possible. That way the vehicle's owner can make their own decision, and I don't have to base things on conjunction opinion and sales tactics. So guys, again, let me know what you think about this situation in the comment section down below. See you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, and most importantly, have yourselves a fantastic day. See you guys later. End of Jeep Diag video, end of non-repair, end of transmission, no pun intended.